Surely, in life, you have experienced moments when you felt like you owned so many things: a house, a car, relationships, or even an identity you've built over your lifetime. We always think that we are the ones in control of these things. But have you ever asked yourself, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel the need to own all these things? And more importantly, if I don't have them, would I still be myself? Possessing material things or relationships can make us feel secure. But are these truly ours? The things we believe belong to us, do they really last forever? We often become overly attached to these things, from the phone we can't live without, to titles, or even our own body, which, upon reflection, we cannot control. And when they start to change, when we can't hold on to them forever, we begin to feel anxious, fearful, even distressed. Try stopping for a moment and ask yourself, if I didn't have these things, who would I be? If I didn't own this house, this car, or these relationships, could I still exist fully? Welcome to the 4 Noble Truths _2025. Today, we will embark on a journey to explore one of the deepest truths in Buddhism, a truth that might change the way you view life. Nothing belongs to you. Throughout our lives, we continuously find ways to cling, possess, and control everything around us. From material possessions to relationships, and even ourselves, all of it gets caught up in an endless cycle of control. However, Buddhism teaches us that no matter how important these things may seem, they are all impermanent and cannot truly be owned. We only temporarily hold them in our hands. But eventually, they will slip away. If you could let go of these things, would you find a sense of true freedom? When you stop clinging, would you lose everything, or would you realize that the things you're clinging to never really brought you happiness in the first place? Join me as we explore the story of a king who had an entire vast kingdom, but eventually realized that even a tiny grain of sand cannot be owned. Or the story of a parent who tries to control their children's lives out of fear for their safety, without realizing that this very control suffocates love. Let's delve into the profound lessons from Buddhism on how to let go and discover true peace that does not depend on the things around us. Let's broaden your perspective on the things we cannot control and how we can live a lighter, free life with a mind no longer plagued by fear or anxiety. Are you ready to let go and discover that freedom? Together, in this video, we will uncover the answer to a question that few dare to ask: if nothing truly belongs to me, where can I find happiness? When we talk about the concept of nothing belongs to you, many people might immediately think of loss or emptiness. However, in Buddhism, this understanding is not meant to make us feel empty, but to free us from the chains we have bound ourselves with. This doesn't mean we should abandon what is important in life, but rather recognize that everything is temporary and cannot be owned forever. Let's think about your body. For example, you can care for it, love it, but you cannot fully control it. You didn't choose its shape, its height, or the way it ages. You also can't prevent it from changing over time. If this body truly belongs to you, why doesn't it obey you? Why can't you command it to remain strong, healthy, and youthful forever? Imagine if you could love your body without being worried about the changes it goes through. Would you feel lighter, freer, and more at peace? The story of the monkey and the jar of nuts. There's a famous story in Buddhism that always comes to my mind when thinking about clinging to things that aren't truly ours. The story is about a monkey trapped inside a jar with a handful of nuts. It cannot pull its hand out because it's holding too many nuts. Instead of letting go of some of the nuts, the monkey refuses to release any, and as a result, it gets stuck. The monkey, in panic and fear, doesn't realize that it could escape simply by loosening its grip. This is similar to us in life. when we cling to things. Be it material possessions, relationships, or even our own identity. We fear that if we let go, we will lose something precious. But in reality, it is this very clinging that causes us to suffer. We cannot control everything, and everything constantly changes. The connection between clinging and suffering in life. One of the main causes of suffering in life is our inability to accept the impermanence of all things. A friend may drift away. A job you've been committed to for years might be replaced. And even your health will change over time. These changes are inevitable, but it is our attachment to them that causes us to suffer. For example, some people spend their entire lives accumulating wealth, building careers, but when they lose these things, they feel like they've lost everything. They lose their sense of self because they've tied so much of their identity to material possessions or success. But the truth is, nothing belongs to us forever. What we have, whether it's wealth or status, is only temporary. We're merely holding onto them for a short time. The story of the king and the grain of sand. Let's return to the story of the king. There's a profound lesson here. This king possessed a vast kingdom and proudly declared it was his. One day, a wise teacher came to him and asked, "Can you take even this grain of sand with you when you die?" The king answered, "I can take everything I own with me." The teacher then picked up a single grain of sand and asked, "Can you take this with you?" The king had no answer, as he realized that no matter how much he claimed ownership of, he could not take anything with him when he dies. This is the realization that helps us find peace, when we understand that everything is impermanent and cannot be owned. When you understand that nothing can be kept forever, you stop trying to control everything. And instead, you begin to live with a lighter heart, free from the anxieties of loss, the fear of loss and how to overcome it. There's a famous saying in Buddhism, "Loss is inevitable, but the fear of loss can be overcome." This means we can't avoid change, and we can't stop time. But it is our fear of loss and our attachment to what is temporary that causes us suffering. When you stop fearing loss, you stop being controlled by it. You begin to love without clinging. Live fully in the present without fearing what might slip away. Buddhism doesn't teach us to reject everything we have. Instead, it teaches us to recognize that nothing truly belongs to us, and to love without trying to possess. When you let go of your attachments, you don't lose anything, rather, you find freedom. You begin to experience life with a lighter, freer heart. The final lesson Buddhism teaches us is this: letting go is not about giving up, but about freeing ourselves. When you stop clinging to the things you think are yours, you will discover that you've lost nothing at all. In fact, you will find a freedom that is far greater than any possession. That freedom lies in understanding the impermanence of everything and accepting it with an open heart. Throughout our lives, we're constantly caught in the cycle of clinging, possessing, and trying to control everything around us. But Buddhism teaches us that the truth about life is that everything is impermanent. We cannot possess, control, or maintain anything we have. Material things, relationships, and even our very bodies all change over time. And it's through recognizing this impermanence that we find peace, not through fear of loss, but by letting go of our attachment to these things. One of the most important teachings of the Buddha is anatta, non-self, meaning that there is no permanent, unchanging self. We are not independent, unchanging entities. We are simply a combination of impermanent elements: the body, the mind, and emotional states. The self that we attach to, the self that we struggle to protect, is ultimately an illusion, a mental construct that our minds create to feel secure. When we realize this, we begin to let go of the self and see the world differently. As the Buddha said in the Dhammapada, All things in the world are impermanent. Seek peace within yourself. Indeed, nothing in this life can last forever. And this understanding doesn't cause us to despair, rather, it offers us the key to lasting peace. If we cannot keep anything forever, can we truly say that it belongs to us? When we understand this deeply, we stop clinging to the things that we cannot control and learn to live in harmony with the impermanence of life. We cannot stop change from happening, but we can control how we respond to it. Buddhism teaches that true peace comes when we stop clinging, when we stop trying to control what is beyond our grasp. Letting go does not mean giving up or rejecting life, it means releasing our attachment to the idea that we own or control anything. It means seeing life for what it truly is, a fleeting, beautiful journey, and we are simply travelers passing through. The practice of generosity in Buddhism is not only an act of kindness but also a way to weaken our attachment. Every time we give something away, whether it's money, time, or even a kind word, we challenge the habit of clinging that we have cultivated. Generosity teaches us to hold things lightly, to have an open hand rather than a clenched fist. But letting go is not just about physical possessions, it's about releasing the belief that our thoughts, emotions, and identity define us. The phrases, "I am this way," or "things must be this way," are the bars of a self-made cage. But just like our possessions, this identity is constantly shifting. The Buddha's teaching on impermanence, Anicca, encourages us to reflect on the constant change in everything. We are reminded not to dwell on loss, but to notice change as it happens. Observe your breath, each inhale rises and falls. Notice a thought, it appears, stays for a moment, and then vanishes. Even the most intense emotions eventually pass. When we see this clearly, we become less attached, less fearful, and more at peace. For those who want to test this practice directly, there is a simple exercise to try. For one day, silently repeat the phrase, "This does not belong to me." When you pick up your phone, remind yourself, "This does not belong to me." When you speak to a loved one, think to yourself, "This does not belong to me." When you feel anger, joy, or fear arise, observe it and quietly whisper, "This does not belong to me." This isn't an exercise in detachment or coldness, it's a way of loosening the grip of the mind, a gentle reminder that everything we experience is passing through our hands like water. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, even unsettling, but if you persist, something remarkable will happen. A sense of lightness will emerge. Fear softens, anxiety loosens, and the mind will discover a calm space it never knew was possible. The Buddha never claimed that this freedom could be found overnight. It takes time and practice. But each moment of awareness, each time we remember that nothing truly belongs to us, is a step toward peace. In the end, this truth is not a loss but a gift. Nothing ever truly belonged to us, not our wealth, not our relationships, not even our bodies. And when we stop clinging, we discover something far greater, a freedom that no one can take away. Letting go is not about giving up, it's about finally seeing things as they are.